No, I liked all of them. It's just I can't connect with you to get them. I'm going to be doing a video blasting things wide open. I'll send it to you when I'm done. So let's see if I can get this started here. See if we can get this started.
Some of y'all are looking at the title and saying, what the hell are you talking about, my guy? Yes, I am embarrassed by my people right now, and I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to lie, man. So let's go ahead and check this out.
Every grocery store looks like this. Everything is either on the floor. Look at this. Can't even get no fucking food for my kids, G. Look at this. Came in the store to try to buy something. I'm not a thief. Look at this. In my hood, can't even get no food for my kids. Babies need milk. Can't even get nothing for my kids, bro. I feel like an animal, and black people made me feel like an animal. Y'all did this to us. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the store. Look at this. But this is what we're fighting for. This is honoring George Floyd. People who already couldn't feed their kids, now they really can't feed their kids. Look at this. I am so devastated right now. I am so devastated right now, G. This is not okay. For us to have to live like this, we do stupid shit like this all the time, and we so black proud. We so black and proud that we ain't gonna never be honest and be real about what's really going on. Y'all are so wrong for this. You came in your neighborhood and fucked up your shit. I'm not a thief. I'm not coming in this store and stealing nothing. And ain't nobody gonna turn me into no animal and make me feel like a thief. Y'all let the white folks set y'all off once again. Look at all this shit on the floor. Look at all this on the floor. Everything. Everything's on the floor. Tissue. We couldn't even find tissue less than 2 months ago, and now it's on the floor. Look at it. Meanwhile, we got plenty of fruits and vegetables. I'm not gonna pick through this shit.
Oh, they took everything else but the fruits and vegetables. No wonder why so many black people are fat, bro. We are the race with the highest obesity rate. I wonder why, because we don't eat no damn fruit. Man, listen, bro. It just really hurts me, man, to hear the pain in her voice while she's walking around in this Walmart thinking about where her next meal is going to come from for her children. A real citizen that wants to legit buy her groceries. Some black people will have the nerve to say, oh, we're still being oppressed. We're victims to the system. And then go on and do shit like this. First of all, if there's
I have tried to get away from talking about the African American dynamic, and I can't. I live in a community that is 57% Afro-American, and it is very Afrocentric. And as I said before, when they talk about diversity to me is not defined by blacks only. But in our American culture, you get the feeling that when you hear the word diversity in public schools, you think of blacks. Wrong. I tell people all the time, I've told students when I drove a school bus, and I no longer do, and I don't intend to go back. I moved to the deep south, and let me tell you, the kids are off the damn chain down here. The schools won't do virtually squat about it. High school kid standing outside of the bus stop smoking pot. He had been a mouth. He'd been a problem every time I drove him. I said, hold on. I need to call and see if I need to drive you because you're out here smoking dope. Well, you need to wait for me to finish my blunt, man. I said, no, I don't need to wait for you, and you're not even supposed to smoke it. It's within my rights. I said, it's not legal in this state, and if it was, you got to be 21, and you don't smoke it and bring that and the smell on the bus. I called dispatch, and of course, the dispatchers don't answer. A new manager who's no longer there answered and addressed me by my bus number and says, you will need to transport him. I thought to myself, figures, didn't respond. I said, put that thing out and sit in the front seat. No, I said, I'm not going to wait. You either get on the steps or I'm going to shut the door and leave and say that you're refusing to get on because you're smoking. Now, I can do that. Let me stop right there and put an indent. For all you black people out there that want to talk shit about white people and get all caught up in Floyd. Number one, George Floyd was a fucking asshole, okay? He was a criminal. He had a criminal record. He had a gun held to a pregnant woman's belly, I'm assuming a black woman. Not one whimper from the black community about a black woman's rights violated. I'm going to get into that in this video. Because black women are the most shitted upon race, ethnically, female-wise, of all women in this culture. Let that sink in. And the biggest offenders are black males. So why white women are walking around saying how racist they are, we are, and they stick to their own, which screw them the most, and hurt them, and leave them with kids without the father's help, without child support. Don't get me started. Don't get me started, because you know what? I didn't grow up in this environment. And if I ever have the chance to leave, I'll never come back to this crap again. This house that I'm living in, the woman who lived here had multiple other black women living with her, daughters and others. You should see the condition before I got started on it. It was stinky. It was gross. It was ghetto. Rats chewed through the walls. Rats chewed this much of the studs in rooms. I had to reframe, re-sheetrock, re-side. I might as well have bought a property and built a house. As you can see, I'm still not done. I want you to look at that. You see this black right here? That's how filthy the upper cabinets were. Black with skin oil and filth. I hand sanded them, and that's what you see. And you can see that the filth stained into the wood, giving it the interesting design. A woman that I ended up working with this year was friends with the woman who lived in this house. Talk about a small world. When I brought her into this house to see this place, she was, oh my gosh, I can't believe what you've done. She said she was a hoarder. It was stinky. There was rats. There was roaches. That woman who was friends with her gave me hell this year. I worked alongside her. She was offensive. She would shout and yell and berate me, a 57-year-old grown man. I was doing my job with excellence, even doing things I am not required to do to make her life easier. She would get on her Democratic whipping post saying Trump's an asshole, Republicans are assholes, and on it goes. She would claim that she believes in Jesus, wear Jesus on her sleeve. I'm blessed, brag about all the money she got, brag about the house that's valued between $250,000, $275,000, that a black couple gave it to her and her husband, only having to pay the $80,000 owned on it. I hear all this talk about white privilege, and let me tell you, I've never had that. I'm still trying to cash in my white privilege card, but nobody will accept it. My life has been a struggle. By the way, you will see me. I got into some lovely sumac or poison ivy in the yard, and this lovely, oozing, weeping, endless train of shit that comes out of this stuff is unbelievable. Nothing works. Nothing cures it. It has to just be a public nuisance and run its course. The South sucks. And I heard jokes all my life about the South. And I'm so tired of the black community playing victim to us. Walmart has pulled their stores out of Chicago. I posted something online today, and the black people are now saying it's racism. Jen Psaki, probably one of the most ugly, boring, plain Jane white women you could meet. She has no pulse, no passion, no personality. She was Vice President Biden's spokesperson. We affectionately referred to her as Raggedy Ann. She is fake. She is plastic. She is snarky, bitchy, and rude. And every time that you hear her, you don't think very nice thoughts. Now she's commenting saying that white GOP Republicans are racist. And I was going to play the video, and I probably should play the rest of it. But this gentleman, Jay Hall, he admitted he's from Jamaica. And he was saying that you cannot go to a party here in America with blacks without aggression and violence breaking out. Today, I had gone to the store. I ran some errands. I went to the gas station, and it's a busy gas station. I heard somebody yelling as I'm pulling in, and I'm like, where's that coming? I couldn't see it. Got out, went to gas my truck, and I heard this shouting, and I looked, and a black male, probably in his late 20s, early 30s, no shirt on, built, ripped, come around by one of the pumps and takes his fist and hits the screen on the pump and is yelling, fuck, and GD and shit. And another black guy had just pulled up on the other side of those pumps, and he was much bigger. And he starts to bump, and he stops, and he's just watching this guy. And the guy goes right in the store with no shirt on, was probably told to get out, come back out yelling and screaming and wildly walking around, probably on crack. And I watched this big black guy showing concern, and he's looking around the pump to see where he goes. And as soon as he disappeared in the neighborhood, I looked at him. I said, never a dull moment around here, huh? He goes, for real, man. You got that right. I don't need to spend all this time talking about how many black people I've seen down here that are just rude. I took a trip to the landfill today. And let me make it clear that everybody in America is a bad driver today. It's just 90% of the drivers do not know how to drive or don't care to try and do, things like turn signal, speed limit. And the speed limit's 45, and people are going around me at 180 miles an hour, rocketing past me, cut in front of me without a blinker. And I look, every time it's a black woman, it's a black man. I go into the store. Or let's go back to the dump. It's a crowded line of people waiting to go into the dump. Pay the fee, go up the scale, go in, dump your stuff, and go. And everything's taken. I see one open spot as I start the back end. The guy's got a pickup and a trailer. Black guy, he's got his tarp and a garbage can in the middle of a wide open space. And I thought, no, I'm going to back up. He can move that crap. He doesn't. I stopped about 10 feet shy of it. He's looking at me, and then I saw a truck on the other side of him pull out, and I thought, screw that. I went around and backed in. And being that most of what was in my truck was tree limbs wrapped with poison whatever, I had a long-handled steel rake. I open the tailgate, and I take the rake and slam the metal tines down and start pulling. And I don't, since I moved here, I normally will, how do I say this? I'll walk like I own the place, and I still do it in my own way, but I'm not going to get into a confrontation with these people. And he's sitting there picking stuff out of his trailer, about the same size as what I got in my truck, and I've got it packed in there, limbs and stuff. And I was pulling stuff off the back, and then I took the rake and went thunk about halfway up the bed of the truck and pulled. I'm like, oh, the whole damn thing's moving. Yeah. So I picked up the rake, thunked it in the other side, pulled. I pulled the whole mess, slid right out the back off the tailgate. I'm like, yeah. I got up there, swept it, shut the gate. These grown big men are standing there watching me like, the fuck? Black people have preconceived opinions about us. I get stared and glared at often. I was walking by the river last night. Black people will stare at me. They will not smile. You look and nod, nothing. I look at these black women. I saw one walking down with her boyfriend. I'm trying to be nice, and it's really hard. She was not attractive. She, you know, the head went down, the stomach and the body went down, and these tiny little feet. And she had on this side revealing dress. There was nothing remotely sexy. I mean, it was a disaster in flesh. It looked like a poop thing, a poop emoji. And I've never seen a race of people. And I'm going to talk about whites in a minute here, but I've never seen a race of women. They don't shave under here. They got smells trailing behind them. They got an arm big around my buttocks. I could bury my head in their armpit, and they wear clothing and stuff, acting as if though they're sexy. I cannot, for the life of me, make rational, clear sense out of that. I don't think I'm all that. But the feeling I have gotten since I moved down here, and I've been here almost 4 years, a lot of these people carry themselves like they're the superior race, the Pharaoh complex. And I like to remind black people, when you talk about 400 years in America, okay, number one, that's a lie. You were slaves for 80 years in America. 80. Do your research. Now go back to Egypt. Egypt was not Caucasians, and it wasn't Asians. So you tell me what race it was, okay? The pharaohs and the Egyptian culture had Hebrew slaves for, count them, 400 years. And there was no Abraham Lincoln. There was no affirmative action. There was no Fair Housing Act and equal opportunity employer. There was none of that. God himself had to intervene and deliver the Jews from the black people. Now you stop and think about that. Blacks never talk about that, though. They don't. They do not. And they come here when I talk about this culture and say 400 years. America became a nation in 1776. We're not even at 2076. That's not even 300 years yet. What, have they got new math? The other concrete fact that black people are unaware of or don't pay attention to is there's a possibility there were more Irish slaves than black slaves in American history. They paid less for a white slave than they did a black. They paid more for the black slaves because they were stronger, physically stronger than we were, and still in many cases are. And you look at what they're doing in Baltimore and these cities around the U.S. and tearing stuff up, looting the stores so bad that we don't owe these damn bozos reparations. Walmart, the CEO announced because of all the theft that's going on, he's increasing the prices in all the stores. So guess what? This white boy is paying for the thug behavior of black culture because I do the right thing and I do self-checkout and I don't steal stuff, and I got to pay more and get penalized for the behavior of black people. And black people still live in this mode of operandi where they act like they're not getting justice for themselves. And I'm sitting there going, how is it that you still think this? They love screaming police brutality. They love screaming systemic racism. It's a favorite word of the media, favorite word of the Democrats. Pandemic and systemic. Choice words of 2020. That's all we heard. Pandemic, systemic. Pandemic, systemic. And I have looked to see if I can see this systemic racism from whites. I don't. I've met white people that don't enjoy being around black people. They've told me to my face, I don't want to deal with them. I've seen what they do, and I don't want to be around that environment. Michelle Obama said, I don't know why white people don't move to black neighborhoods. I'm still waiting for CNN and Michelle Obama to come into my house. I'll even fix her tea. I am no danger to her. That woman would never darken my door and sit down and have an intelligent conversation with me. Black people talk a lot of shit and they dish it out. And the only thing they're going to do when they hear a video like, I'd like to shoot that son of a fucking bitch, that little whitey, I know what goes through their heads. And the sad thing is, where I live, there's some damn good black people. They got loans for their houses. They do a lawn mowing service and work full time. They respect me as a man and a working man. I respect them as a man and a working man. But you have what I call shithead black culture, which consists of this foul rap, using the N-word, the very word that, white guy says it, it's throwdown time. But blacks use it freely amongst themselves. In my workplace, I'm a minority. There also. This last week, I've been doing repair work with several other black men. Two of them told me that I'm going too fast. I was going too fast, and I'm not. I'm just going at a pace. I like to work and do things and get done and go home. One guy, when I went to ask for his assistance, was sprawled out across 2 seats and napping. Work 7 hours, get 2 15-minute breaks. I noticed something. When I did a project on my house, I had to tear down 11 feet of wall, vinyl siding, insulation, interior siding and molding, 2 big patio glass door windows. And neighbors were sitting in chairs and facing me and watching me for all of 8 hours as I framed, tar papered, sided, put in a window, painted it, and got all that done. Cleaned up myself, put everything away, and 2 hours later, it started to rain. I'm not going to comment on the neighbor, except to say that if I was to publicly tell you the things that go on at one of my neighbors, it would shock you. these people look down on me. A lot of black people look down their nose at me. They look down their nose at white people. And while they're all pulling up their chairs, I should have asked you guys, want some buckets of popcorn? I had my back to them all day. None of them work as hard as me. None of them are productive like me. None of them can do what I do. And yet, in their twisted, fucked mind, they think that they're superior and I'm whatever way they view whites. And I get that. I get that a lot down here. They've gotten their revenge. They've gotten their revenge since the civil rights movement of the 60s. Trashing American cities. Everybody's made the joke. Every time something doesn't go their way, there go the television sets. Now it's the flat screens. And you heard that little bit of video I played for you. He said, yeah, they don't steal the fruits and vegetables. And I see a lot of obesity down here. A lot. I walked into an Asian restaurant one night to get my fried rice. Black family couple, probably in their late 30s, maybe 40s. Sitting down at a table, I went to go do takeout. Black girl in a gray hoodie. I hate hoodies. I don't know what the obsession is with hoodies. I buy a hoodie and I cut the hood off. Everybody's like, why'd you do that? Because I hate hoodies. I like to zip up in the hoodie, but I don't. Look at my hair. I don't need that over my head. If you want to talk about diversity, come with me and walk in my footsteps and watch how judgmental, how rude, how nasty they are when a guy like me shows up in this community. The hair, this, my shirt's off shoulder, the neck cut out because it's so damn hot and humid down here. And they have no problem making public fun of you, leering, jeering, making comments. But let a white guy or a group of white guys walk down the street and comment on them. And watch what happens. Why is it that black people think it's okay to be rude and obnoxious? And the teenage girl and the younger elementary age boy with little dreadlocks, right when I walked by, I heard her laughing. I turned all the way around and they're like, and I should have addressed it, but I thought, nah, they're kids. You're not going to get into a pissing match over some immature little brats. Then the Asian restaurant owner starts talking to me. A couple of the wait staff start talking to me, and all of a sudden the kids turn around. It's like, oh. Black people are very bold in what they do. You see it. They'll freely run into a store publicly while everybody's videotaping and trash and steal. And I'm going to say something, and I don't care if this offends. Black people live with a sense that they're ready to fight. They're ready to make the charge of racism. And they didn't like comments that we made back in the day. And when I say we, this is before my time. But the term barbaric comes to mind. You look at blacks in 2023 in Chicago, in America. This is barbaric fucking behavior. We're supposed to be in a civilized country. And as far as reparations go, hell no. I'd like somebody to get me a list of the number of people that were slaves back in the day. Was it millions? Blacks number somewhere around 43 million in the U.S., 13% of the U.S. population. There was not 43 million blacks in the slave days. Let's do some stat crunch. All right. 1860. The population under Abraham Lincoln was 31,443,321. So 31 million people. Let's try this. In 1860, what was the population of black people in America? (1860). So 3 million, almost 4 million people were blacks. Continued importation of new slaves from Africa and the Caribbean, and national population growth, especially among American-born slaves who lived longer lives and bore more children than African-born slaves. So 4 million people, okay? Let's assume that there were 10 million slaves during the 80 years. And you give them $2 million a piece. That's $20 million. You would give them each $10 million a piece if they were alive. That's $100 million. Yeah. So have you looked at the cost of damages that this generation of malcontents and ignorant black people have done to this country? And when I say ignorant, I worked with the public education system and they are failing like bad. And when a black person makes it against all the odds, they affectionately refer to him or her as an Oreo and a sellout. Blacks operate very much off of what the Philippine culture taught me called the crab bucket mentality. The crab bucket mentality is like this: put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, 5-gallon bucket. One of the crabs starts to climb to the top, the others pull it down. Boy, you see that fleshed out in the black community. All the dope and the drugs and the let's break the law. And from my limited white perspective, I watch people around me don't follow company policy, don't follow procedure. I look at the few white people I work with, they're by the book. Why is that? Why is there this natural inclination in African Americans to resist all of the traffic laws, resist the way things are supposed to be at work? I remember when I worked at Denver Public Schools years ago, back in 97 and 99, management came down and said, we have a company dress code. You have to wear a collared shirt or a Henley, ladies, and you couldn't have cleavage, and you couldn't wear FUBU, and you couldn't wear T-shirts with stuff on it. You couldn't wear sportswear. Of course, the black women would come in with their FUBU and their Hilfiger and all their stuff on, a lot of cleavage, and management said, starting next week, when you're standing at the front door, and if you come in inappropriate attire, you're not going to be allowed to clock in, and you miss your shift. And the crackdown began, and there were warnings all over the terminal. And they sent several black women home, and guess what? They came in. That's racism. I said out loud, I said, man, they told everybody they were going to enforce it. How's that racist? It's racist in the eyes of black people because they know they don't want to submit to, follow, or yield to the rules that are for everybody. They think that they have rights that they're entitled to that we do not. Well, our culture wears this, and this is the way we do things. In the workplace, we have to submit to workplace culture, including me. And guess what? You think I like workplace culture? Fuck no. But if they tell me I can't wear something at work, if I want a fucking job, then guess what? I wear it on my time. As you can see, I'm shirtless in my house. Now I'm doing something different this summer. And because I'm doing something different this summer, I wear cutoff shorts, shirt hanging on my shoulder, I don't really care if I'm a raggedy muffin because number one, I'm not dealing with the public. Number two, I'm repairing shit and you're getting dirty. And you know what? If somebody wants to come out of the office and say that's inappropriate wear for work, I'll say, look what I'm doing. If you think I'm going to wear dressy clothes for this, no. But nobody's going to say anything. Now, if I'm working with the public, different story. Now, let me say something so the black community understands this. A lot of white females in our culture are a mess. I'm not particularly fond of them. I learned the hard way after chasing a woman to Hong Kong. It was a failed relationship, but I was married 14 years to a Western woman, born and raised in Minnesota. And I left that marriage. She was a good worker. She was good at her job. Horrible as a wife, horrible as a mother. And you cannot, with Western women, they seldom, if ever, admit that they're wrong. That is not in their repertoire. So when I moved out here, I was very much open. And even when I lived in Colorado, I dated a few black women. And out of the 3 black women that I dated, I noticed something happen on every date that I took black women on. They would bring up racism. I'd pick them up. I'd pay for the date. I don't even talk about racial issues. And I'd watch them get agitated as they're talking about it. One night I looked at a gal I was with. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, I took you to dinner. You've had a good time. You said you like the restaurant. Why are you going on about this? You told me you don't want to date the black men in your workplace because they were, quote, assholes. You told me you like the way I treat you. You like the way I make you feel. And we didn't even have sex when I dated her, ever. And she got on this kick and I said, but how is racism affecting you? How do you see it with you? And it dawned on me. It's not directed at her. These folks in this country are conditioned to follow the cyclical pattern of got to stand up against the whites. Got to put your bottom lip out. Put that funky little thing on your head. Got to have the attitude going on. And you got to make a deliberate statement that we are not like you. Well, guess what, honey? I'm not like you. I don't want to be like you. And guess what? I'm diversity. I'm not ashamed of being white. I'm not ashamed of the music that my culture generated. I'm not ashamed of the architecture my culture generated. I'm not ashamed of the artwork my culture generated. I'm not ashamed of the poetry and the literature and the history that my people were responsible for. Now, that being said, every culture has a dark spot to history. Every culture, no exception. People like to talk about the Native Americans. People like to talk about Native Americans and how we stole the land. And this usually comes from Mexicans here in the U.S. and black people. And to the Mexicans and black people, I have one thing to say. Sign the title deed of your house and property to a Native American and shut the fuck up. None of them have done it. You remember Elizabeth Warren claiming she was Native American? Really? Is she living in a teepee on the Great Plains? Hunting buffalo and using every part of the animal? No, she's buying at upper end stores and she probably can go to the Mayo Clinic and the best clinics in the land. I don't like the Democratic Party in the U.S. The Democratic Party is satanic evil, and I will call it that. They have opened the door for the devil to come roaring in. They have kept this racial bullshit alive. They have curried favor with the black community, unswerving allegiance with the black community that will always vote Democrat and stick their head in the sand and check their brains at the door because they're happy to get some EBT cards and their little Section 8. And what they don't realize, the African American community, is the real men in the African American community refuse to stand up and confront their bad little babies, and they leave the women to raise African American boys. Why do African American boys resort to violence and immediate punch someone in the face, shoot them? Because they never learned how to resolve conflict in a mature adult way. They're being raised by African American women, and this is the picture you get. With the African American yelling and screaming and throwing her weight around. Boys cannot be raised in that kind of an environment. I had a black woman this year yelling at me, and I finally said, ma'am, you need to stop talking to me that way. Well, I'm a black woman, and you need to not take it. I said, let's flip the script, honey. If I was a white man, come up and yell. In fact, she would yell at me so bad, and one day I turned around and said, you need to stop. And she said, why are you yelling at me? He said, you're shouting at me. You're provoking me to wrath. And you can pull this. And I remember one day I tried to have normal conversation with her just to get through the day while we're doing our job. She said, have you ever eaten macaroni and cheese? I said, when I was in my 20s, I used to buy the Kraft in the box for $25. Oh, that's white people food. No, we make our own macaroni. Everything I said, that's white music. That's white. And I want to say, oh, as if though your stuff is more superior. Really? People want to fight over the Confederate flag. The blacks want every statue toppled from the Confederate and the Civil War. But you don't see the blacks toppling the Margaret Sanger statues, you know, the one that was clearly racist, who admitted she was racist, admitted she didn't like blacks, called them the scourge, and she came up with abortion as a means to get rid of them. Didn't work, did it? But black women make quite a few trips to Planned Parenthood. But they didn't burn that institution to the ground, did they? Rampaging across the land, and then white people apologizing for being white. And Jen Psaki, one of the most boring, passionless, waste of time women I've ever seen, ever, gets paid more money than me to be her boring, snarky persona. She didn't earn that right. You want to talk about privilege? She is not a great orator. She is not a great articulator. She is not a great public speaker. She's a bitch. And this is our society's done this with white women. They've coddled and enabled them to be horrible human beings. And they get away with it. Go into a store, go into a business. You're walking out with a load of shit. I don't care if it's a black girl or a white girl. They'll open the door and walk right in and get in your way instead of holding it open for you and saying, hey, oh no, it's always, always about fucking them. And I will never apologize for being white ever. I said it before in another video. Name one thing that black people invented that we depend upon every day. Nothing. Nothing. They didn't invent this. They didn't invent this. They didn't invent the rotary dial. They didn't invent the laptop. They didn't invent anything I have in this house. Nothing. If they really want to get away from white culture, get out of this country, go back to Africa, go back to the primitive places that you came from, and see if you can pull it off by yourself without any of our help. But they don't. White women say they don't need men. This entire fucking culture was built on the backs and blood of men, not women. Let me make that clear. All those big government buildings, all the sewer systems, the electrical system, the phone system, that was not put together by women. Most of your makeup and clothing fashion are French, and models are men. The cars you drive, every convenient thing you use, down to the leather seats, the heated seats, you didn't come up with that. You got hypocrisy. When I finally wrote a long and lengthy email to management, a black female who came from the big city, who had years and years of experience. I thought she would be objective. This woman had done things worthy of termination and at the least suspended for at least a week, 3 to 5 days with no pay. She did none of the above. When another employee of the place I work called to complain about rude comments that employee made about me, and she also called to give praise about how I deal with other people and how I'm professional and how management did not get back to me on that. Because the person she talked to was the secretary of a big shot. That secretary is black, and that secretary is friends with this black woman, and they both claim to have faith in God in common. I've talked about for years, just because somebody claims to be a Christian doesn't mean they're not shitty people. I'm a Christian and I believe, but I've done things I'm ashamed of, but I look at a lot of Christians that wear Jesus on their sleeve. Stay away from them. Theologically, they're off base. 2, when somebody's got this constant need to tell everybody about how blessed and how they're an expert and bossy butt and they're going to take control of the conversation, watch out. That's not a humble servant of God. That's somebody who's immature, hasn't grown up yet, and discrimination has been happening to me since I've started at the various jobs I've been doing down here. The boss that's over me is a miserable, unhappy black woman. She comes in one day wearing the Hope Obama shirt. She looks like she's going to punch somebody in the face. If I ever have to go to her, she snarls and growls. She doesn't smile. She doesn't say good morning and call me by name. But let another gal come up who's black and lesbian and acts very butch. Hey, gal! She regresses to about a 14-year-old out of control middle school girl in minutes. One day I saw her get up out of her seat and walk over to another grown woman, and they were verbally sparring back and forth, and she placed her big butt straight in her lap and ground down on it. Let a white man go put himself in the lap of a woman in any workplace, and I guarantee you he'll be standing in the unemployment line and possibly have a case against him in a court. But a black woman can do that. Nothing happens. When black people I work with tell me to slow down, I'm like, man, we got to get this stuff done. Translation, Pacific. Slow down, you're making us look bad. I'm not here to make you look bad. I'm here to get shit done. When I talk about African Americans, their thinking is not the same as ours. And even if they're Christians, even if they're ministers, there's a guy I know at work. He's ripped. He's a built, cocky guy. I don't hate him, but he calls himself a minister. I've met his wife. His wife's a nice black lady. The minute he spies another black woman that he thinks is cute, he will cut off conversation with me or anybody else. Hold up. Then walks right over and makes eyes and flirts. I met a new employee when I was doing my repair work. I said, hey, how you doing? We started talking, and she's a very pretty black woman, very, very fit, very good looking. Dresses nice. We started chatting back and forth on a break, and I said, you need to be careful. And I dropped the name of 2 people. I said, they will come on to you like flies on poo-poo. She laughed. She goes, yeah, I've seen that with both of them. One is a gay guy that has dated several of what I call the ghetto women there. This guy doesn't want to come to work. He doesn't call in, doesn't show up. He's a spoiled brat of the company, does what he wants, 20-something-year-old, not a good-looking guy, not a handsome guy, but yet attractive black women want to get into bed with the guy. And then he's butt-fucking men. I'm not slamming on gay people, but just to give you some context there. And I said, you need to be careful. I said, I noticed when I was talking to you one day, he come in and said, hey, babe. And she says, yeah, no, I'm not into him. Unfortunately, down here, there are blacks that will date whites. They're there. They're there. But you got a lot of blacks, they don't want it to be known that they're seeing somebody outside their race. They haven't matured in their thinking. The problem I have with many black women is they have sworn allegiance to the Democrat left. I'm not going to date a woman who believes in that crap and expect harmony. There cannot be. I believe the Democratic Party in the U.S. is systematically committing constitutional and freedom suicide. They're pushing and promoting big government. They're pushing and promoting socialism. They're going to find a way to turn off your power grid so they can control you more. If black men in this country would actually rise up and become real men and fight the bullshit within their own race, but they want to stand up and take the streets and talk about whites and our privilege. And nothing was more poignant and telling about how racist and how fucked up their thinking is when black people were climbing around on the CNN letters at the headquarters in Atlanta and busting windows, and the black mayor gets on Atlanta TV and says, why are you guys busting up CNN? They're on our side. When the riots happened, black business owners put black-owned business. Isn't that nice? We're black. Don't bust up our place. Oh, but you didn't care if they busted up the Asians, the Mexicans, and the whites. What the hell did that have to do with George Floyd? What did it have to do with Rodney King? What did it have to do with Michael Brown? Not a damn fucking thing. And I got blacks on social media always trying to argue with me. One went back and forth and back and forth. I said, hey, why don't you message me and we'll talk like grown men instead of this? You want to make a public scene and you're not getting anywhere. Oh, no, I don't talk to people. I only surround myself with people that are intellectual, and you're a hypocrite. And I wrote back, I said, classic Democrat. Call names, no substance, no facts. I offered as a man to talk to you. You refused to talk to me, but instead you want to go round and round in the public eye to your weak little black following that wants to say, oh yeah, get that white boy, oh! And nothing you're saying is a smoking gun. Black people do not like it when a white man stands up and says bullshit to what they're saying. So if enough of us do it and we flex our muscles a little bit, we can back them up because they're out of line. They're tearing up our cities. They're tearing up our fucking infrastructure, and they're costing you and me money every time we go to the damn store. We don't owe them a damn thing. And I wish that Abraham Lincoln had provided some boats and said, you're emancipated, everybody go back to Africa, we're done. Man, how about reparations for the shit that I've endured being under feminism? How about the abusiveness of my mother? Man, come on, man. Any one of us can find an excuse to cash in. But why does the black community think that they're entitled to reparations for what their great grandparents went through? That don't make no sense. Why would we pay them? They didn't pick cotton. They weren't dragged and hung by chains. Please. And I run into black people all the time. Man, what do you got that chain around your neck for? And I want to say, man, what fucking business is it of yours? Oh, because only black people can do that. They stereotype the fuck out of us, folks. They're racist as fuck. Don't kid yourself. Not all black people are like this. But it's interesting that 13% of the United States population makes the loudest noise, has complete meltdown, and trashes things more than any other group of people. They got a thing on Facebook saying, some site about unfair, discrimination against lending. Man, where I'm at, every black I know is in debt and got a mortgage for their house and an auto loan. What the fuck are they talking about? Are they crying over spilt milk that was done way back in the day? I don't understand why blacks want to bring up the past and hold it against us who had not a damn thing to do with it. But let's talk about the black culture of women. Class act, right? Don't shave their underarms, BO, lots of obesity, lots of unhealthy lifestyle habits, lots of pointing the finger at everybody else except looking in the mirror going, man, I look like a fucking wreck. I need to change. I'm going to say it again. As long as we allow this government to polarize us, which Soros and all the big shots love this. They love the Democrats stirring the pot. And now Jen Psaki is claiming that GOP Republicans are racist. Let's see if we can find out anything. I noticed that people are trying to protect their identity where you can't find out a damn thing. Let's see. Jen Psaki's home. She's in Arlington, Virginia. Let's go on with this. Jen Psaki's net worth. The house is a good-sized house in Arlington, Virginia. Jen Psaki's worth, as of January 18th, 2023, is estimated to be $27 million. We're racist. Do you see her living in Compton? Do you see her living with the blacks? Do you see her living where I live? Do you see her buying a fixer-upper home in a predominantly black community? No. And this is something the blacks don't seem to pay attention to. The whites are now trying to earn favor with them by saying all these blanket statements. And the blacks need to challenge their own Democrat liars. Say, so where do you live? And they might want to start with their own black people, the Obamas, Oprah Winfrey, Whoopi Goldberg, and look at where they reside. I mean, seriously. Hey, Siri, where does Whoopi Goldberg live?
Here's an answer from Encyclopedia.com. In 1974, Goldberg moved to Los Angeles and has since maintained California residence.
Whoopi Goldberg's $2.8 million New Jersey mansion. None of these black leaders are living in the hood. None of them. They're not hanging with the blacks. Look at the show that Whoopi's on. All white women. None of them know how to dress. None of them are attractive. None of them are what I call experts in anything. They're snarky, middle school, mentally stunted girls that got a shitty show off the ground because that tells you America's dumbed down, and it tells you about the condition of American women. And I'm not going to back up from that. I don't need to. There's other grown men that have successful channels out there saying the same damn thing. The View. It is not The View. It is a view, and it is a disgusting one at that. It does not represent males. It does not represent the lion's share of people in this country. What it does represent is a whole lot of shitty people that get behind shitty shows. It's like Jerry Springer. The black people down here love Jerry Springer. Why would anybody like a show like that? It was garbage. Garbage. And my point in what I'm talking about in this video is, how do you get black people with a mindset? Black women complaining that it's racism that Walmart is shutting their stores down in these neighborhoods where they're looting the shit out of them. Black people, do you understand the term consequences for your bad behavior? Or does that elude you? I am not going to think like you. I don't have to, nor do I want to think like you, because my thinking is freer than yours. Because I don't follow a white herd. I don't follow a black herd. I lived in Hong Kong for a year. I don't follow an Asian herd. I tried to follow truth and get to the bottom of things. Yes, only in this country can you have people that not only got favoritism, they can get away with tearing shit up. Look at California. You have to steal over $900 worth of shit out of the stores in San Francisco before they'll do anything. We've got politicians that pave the way for blacks to do whatever they want. Look at Chicago. Look at the doofus mayor up there now that replaced Lightfoot. He still wants to defund the police. I'm not a fan of corporate America, but looting and stealing, always remember this about corporate people. They will get revenge. They will always get their money. So they go after the soft, easy way to get it. Punish me and you when you go to the store with higher prices. In corporate America, better be careful, because even the Bible talks about, was it David? Who was it that prayed? God, provide me enough where I can take care of my needs and not steal. But don't give me too much where I don't think I need you anymore. Corporate America keeps going on the path it's going. People like me and you might end up having to steal because we can't afford to get food. I support Walmart in pulling out of Chicago. If Chicago refuses to deal, and you notice the black community and the liberals keep voting in shitty, no good, crappy leaders only because they're black. If people really gave a shit about Chicago, why are you voting in mayors that aren't keeping the city intact? Why are you voting in mayors that aren't doing a damn thing about hundreds of teens running loose in the streets, tearing things up, harassing everybody? But how about that CATS bus driver in the Carolinas last couple weeks? black bus driver driving, and a black punk comes up and wants to go at him. And he's got a privacy glass. And he tells the passenger to get behind the yellow standee line, and he does, and he comes back, pulls a gun out of his pocket, and that driver didn't waste any time, fired shots. And the white CEO in his suit and tie, who's never ridden or driven a city bus in his life, says you're not supposed to bring a gun to work. Okay, dumbass, if I didn't bring a gun that day, I would have been killed. Do black lives really matter? If you watch the way the black community behaves, no, they don't. They don't care about their own kind. They don't got each other's backs. Fuck the police stats. The blacks are killing more police and whites and Asians and Hispanics and blacks than police are killing blacks. Boom! Telemarketers. Answer the phone, don't say a word. They hang up, they won't call back. It works. The minute you say something, it kicks that automated voice thing. America is never going to move forward with Democrats at the helm. America's never going to get better with Democrats in charge. The African American community in the U.S. is never going to improve as long as it keeps voting Democrat and believing the bullshit that they believe. The African American men are not going to be real men until they start standing up to their own men and saying, why'd you leave my mother? Why'd you leave her? We don't need more black, angry women raising kids without a dad. It's not doing well. I don't care what these black women say. They think they're self-appointed authorities on everything and get up in everybody's face and look at how your kids turn out. It takes a man and a woman. It takes both. And when you have black boys raised on emotionally driven logic women, guess what they do when they get out on the streets? Bang, bang, or punch, punch. They don't negotiate. They don't sit down and talk. They resort to aggressive behavior. 75% of the black kids are raised by single mothers. I would challenge the black community to get off their soapbox about whites and get on their soapbox about their own race. Get off their soapbox about the popo and start teaching your people to obey the popo. When they say put your hands up, put your fucking hands up. But you don't. And I don't care what a black person thinks of me. I already know. They think I'm shit. Doesn't make it so. Black people, they like to rap. And all they do is talk crap. They want to talk about my race when their own is such a disgrace. They don't respect their own damn black women. They don't value their damn lives. It's funny, the blacks have no problem smoking pot in front of their kids, fucking in front of their kids, doing all kinds of wrong stuff in front of their kids, and then they wonder why their kids turn into complete hell on wheels or on legs or whatever. I'm not racist, but I'm getting tired of this shit. Rodney King, George Floyd, Michael Brown, O.J. Simpson. Oh, they were all victims of racism. No, they fucking weren't. They were criminals, all breaking the laws. And they don't look at what I call first cause. That when you're breaking the law, you alert the authorities to get involved. And you wouldn't have a knee to your back and you wouldn't be dead if you didn't do what you were doing. The black community wants to hide behind religion, but the Bible says submit to the governing authorities, for they are God's ministers appointed. And I believe George Floyd did not die from Chauvin's knee in the back. That's a bunch of crap. George Floyd is a big boy. He was saying, I can't breathe, before the knee ever got to his back. He was loaded higher than a kite on fentanyl, but the family didn't want to hear the original coroner's report. The Bible talks about in the last days, perilous times will come. Men shall heap to themselves teachers having itching ears to hear what they want to hear. The Israelites threw Jeremiah down a cistern, a well, because he said, God's judgment's coming, you will be in captivity, and the Jews didn't want to hear it. Black people will not listen to us. They use little smokescreen arguments that are fallacious and laughable. You're not black. What does my skin color have to do with the fact I'm talking about an issue? Not a damn thing. Well, you're not black. You don't know. Oh, so only black people have understanding. That's like saying you have to be a Mormon to understand that Mormonism is a cult. That's like saying you have to be a Jehovah's Witness. I don't need to be a Jehovah's Witness to know Jehovah's Witness is a false cult religion started by a founder who lied repeatedly and said, thus saith the Lord, and none of it came to pass. Why am I going to listen to Joseph Smith, who said that God had sex with Mary and created Jesus, and Jesus is the half-brother Satan? Why would I listen to a clown? Yes, I can make observations on the black community because as a white guy, I'm not in the sheep-herded mentality that they are, and I can see clearer than they can. They see what they've been groomed and raised in all decades long. We've got major problems in the world, and Jen Psaki is a cunt. All she can do is focus on racism. AOC is a cunt. All she can do is focus on the unfairness of how Muslims are being treated. These people have too much time on their hands. They make too much money. They're finding little bitsy things to bitch about while living on their massive millions of dollars of money in their nice posh places. They're snow globe politicians. They're not living with the black community. They're not living in the midst of the black community. And all these thugs and blacks that want to tear up stuff, can I encourage you to go to your leaders and tear up their shit? Please do us a favor. If you want to take your aggression out, take it out on your leaders that are bullshitting you and laughing all the way to the bank while they're not living near you or trafficking with you in any way. Go get them. Affect their bottom line, their peace, their security, and see if they sing the same shitty tune. But instead, you're coming down here and affected me, a working man who isn't rich. And you say you don't care, but I'm not the one that's a threat to your race. So keep acting like the thugs and the assholes that you're showing yourself. I promise you this, if men get a pair of balls in this culture, black or white, and they form an army, I'm joining them, and we will topple your fucking asses, because that's what needs to happen. All you ghetto ass hood rats need to be fucking dumped on the ground and stopped stopped, shut down, dead. No more. Because this generation of blacks, the spawn that's coming from them, most of it is unproductive. And we got a Democratic Party that wants to pedestalize evil and shit shame Christians and shit shame gun owners and shit shame whites and shit shame conservatives and shit shame people that respect our flag, our Constitution. You punk asses want to tear shit up? Go get Psaki's mansion and AOC's place and get these people that are living away from all your danger. And then coming out of their little secure zone and saying, whites are racist. Put them to the test. It's easy to talk shit when you're way up here in a fortress. But get down here on the fucking battlefield where most Americans are and say what you say. Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey, and Michelle Obama aren't going to get down here on the front lines. They're full of shit. They're millionaires and billionaires, and they live in complete safety and security. They don't have to worry about food shortages. They don't got to worry about financial struggle. Man, you punks want to tear up shit? Storm Martha's Vineyard. Storm it. Go get them. I promise you, when they get the same shit that's being dished out on the rest of this society, they will fucking change their tune. You black people looting and tearing up everything, you've already done giving yourselves a bad name, but you keep playing into the narrative. You're not doing anything that's grandiose. When the Democrats are done using you to gain all the corruptive, complete, dominating, controlling power that they've got, they're going to come after you first. And will eliminate you systematically. Euthanasia, public shootings. You don't believe me? The Democratic Party's already killed 61 million children in the name of abortion. The Democratic Party created the Jim Crow laws and the KKK. But the blacks don't want to hear the fucking truth. They want to say Republicans. Republicans aren't racist like the Dems ever were. And I'm not a fan of the Republicans. They're a bunch of pussies that have no fucking spine and no balls. They are not stemming the flow. Fox News, they're sounding the alarm. Nothing's changing. Even me, even other men, we're talking about it. Nothing's changing. Where's the clout? Where's the army? Where's the uprising? Where's the people? Oh. You know what I mean? Maybe we made a mistake as Americans. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. See, what we did and what our corporations did is they fucked us up the ass and we didn't realize it. Banks, lending institutions, and a blitzkrieg of commercials, every cutesy little sitcom that you used to watch, you're getting blitzkrieg for this kind of soap, this kind of car, this bank, this kind of a house, and it made you discontent. Hollywood's been doing it to marriage forever. They never show an average looking woman in Hollywood. You notice that? No bra, tits pointing to the heavens, scratching her head, clean and smooth. And you look at her on the screen and you look at your wife, and you look at her on the screen and you look at your wife and you go, shit, my wife don't look like that at all. What the hell? Yeah, Hollywood's been eroding the shit out of you and you didn't realize it. But the same corporate capitalist system has done the same damn thing. And no, I'm not anti-capitalistic, but hear what I'm saying. They got you hooked into getting in debt. Got to have that $250,000 house, not a $20,000 fixer up. You got to have that big one. Get in debt. Now the bank owns you. Got a big old chain around your neck. And guess what? You like that. You enjoy that kind of slavery. Well, guess what? They're taxing you more. Biden's fucking with your utilities, jacked up costs and taxes on the electric, gas, oil, natural gas, one of the safest things. Now you got liberal asshole politicians like Booger up there in New York, Hockham or Holcomb or whatever you want to call her, saying, oh, gas stoves are bad. No, you're a fucking danger. Let's eliminate you. And I'm starting to believe that. Do I believe in supporting violence? No. But can I say something? If the entire Democratic Party was assassinated and put out and they were no more, they don't care about us. They don't care about children. They don't care about anybody but their selfish, evil, control freak agenda. They don't care about life. They're using blacks. They're using illegals to buttress their disgustingly corrupt, filthy party that's all about money. Do the who's who of anybody in the left and see how much money they're pulling in, and the Republicans as well. Mitch McConnell's a fucking turtle. To get the dick out of his mouth, and he passes shit that's putting us deeper and deeper in debt because, well, we gotta work with the Democrats. No, you don't. Where's the men who say, I'm not working with these clowns? They're screwing the pooch. Just like when I work at work, I'm not going to get into a pissing match with a bunch of lazy-ass men that are stronger and bigger than me. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to go at my fucking pace, and if they don't like it, fuck yourself. Where's the balls and the guts? I thought we were the land of the free and the home of the brave. You have just proved my point. We're cowards, and we're not free, and we're not brave. You're worried about your snow globe middle-class life. You don't want to say anything because you don't want your relatives on Facebook to have their feelings hurt, and they might not invite you over for Thanksgiving. Oh, fuck. You can have turkey somewhere else, turkey. Why have we become like this? We allow corporate America and the Democrats to divide and conquer. People are so worried about protecting their little comfort zone. You're going to lose that. So you might as well just give it up. When are you going to fight? When are you going to take a stand? I love it when people get on my Facebook and they'll tell me privately at work, I agree with what you're saying. I said, yeah, but you never thumbs up the post. Well, I got family. Oh, you got family. The family that has your back. That if they knew what you really believe, they would no longer have your back. That's not family, babe. Jesus said something profound. If you cannot leave your family and follow me, you're not worthy of me. Anyone who has lost mothers, brothers, sisters, and fathers, you'll have much more with me because you're part of the family of God. But we as Christians are the worst. We as Christians in the U.S. are the worst. Yeah, hear me out on this. You go to church on Sunday morning, they're beating up men for masturbation and porn. The Christian churches are dealing with the megalomaniacal narcissism that dominates all women, Christian or not. You got women in American Christian culture that are not humble. They do not see themselves as servants. They do not understand the scripture where God has said, it's not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper or a helpmeet suitable for him. Women, you were not made for your narcissistic selves. When I go downtown to the club, it sickens me how many women come in there and they'll dance and they'll wear provocative attire. And when a man starts to get close, they'll move away. And women think, oh, I can be friends with all these guys. That's not what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to bed down with a man and fuck his brains out and love the shit out of him. And he was supposed to love the shit out of you. But you can't even do that. And you can't raise your children. Now it's all about your SUV and your Starbucks and your dog. Women go more about their dogs than their kids. I'm going to tell you, it's not just the black race, but Americans are fucked. If you think we're so land of free and home brave, that's gone. You're cowards and pussies. And even me, all I do is talk about it. What can I do? I stand up in my own way. When a black Democrat, overweight, rude woman is impinging on me for 8 months, I follow chain of command. I write. But guess what? Nothing happens. But what can I do? I said, then get me away from her. If you're not going to deal with her, I'd love to be a boss. I don't care if it's black or white. I got a black woman. I'd say, I got this letter. You doing this stuff? Why are you doing this stuff? Why do you think that's okay? I'm going to give you a week with no pay. You come back and you better clean it up or you're done. I'm not going to tolerate this in the workplace. This is not supposed to be a hostile workplace. And whites, you need to stand up to the women in your workplace and the black women too, because they're running all over your ass. I'm not saying be obnoxious and do dumb things to get yourself fired. But I've noticed something. They spend all this time in our culture trying to make sure that women aren't discriminated against, harassed in the workplace. And guess what? They're doing all of the above to us white men, and there's no safeguards in place for us now. Isn't that awesome? I told you, America is pendulum people. It's either all the way this way or all the way that way, but we never come to the center. Blacks are constantly looking for, inventing, real or imagined, that whites are racist and the police are systemically racist. Put your fucking hands in the air. You didn't do it. You reached the console. Cop's not going to play. Boom, fired a bullet in your head. Oh, he's racist. You didn't follow fucking instructions. It's funny when a black gunman comes into a Circle K and wants to rob it, says, put your hands where I can see him, and you don't obey him, he'll shoot you. Can I yell, hey, you're racist, you shot me, brutality? The hypocrisy of the black community is self-evident. It goes on every day. They tear the fuck out of this culture, tear the fuck up out of everything, produce shitty music. No longer is it Motown and the good stuff. It's motherfucking NIGGER all day, every day. Garbage. And they want to talk about my race. And they want to talk about my race. How many white people do you see going into Chicago and tearing shit up? It wasn't black people that created those beautiful businesses down in the Miracle Mile. Let me just remind you of that. It wasn't the black people that created those beautiful skyscrapers that are up and down the Miracle Mile. Wasn't black people at all. I love how race can talk about us. And I spent time in China / Asia, Hong Kong. I can live in Asian culture and be in complete harmony with them. Because they're hard working, they take care of their personal space. They don't do this shit. They just don't do it. You go over to Africa and you see some very cool stuff over there. And Africa and African American are not one and the same. I love how divisive African Americans like to be. Well, I'm African American. Well, I'm Irish American. No, you're not. You're white. I'm Irish and I'm red in complexion. Color lesson here. Which one is white? It's only A or B, and you get it wrong, you fail. This is white. This is red or pinkish, okay? And I like how Americans can be branded by blacks that we're whites, we're whiteys. Most black people I know are not this color. Most black people I know are not this color. This is a burnt pot from many years of using. There's many different shades of black, okay? You got black that can be more in this color and a little bit of a blend of the both. But black, as in coal black, no. So calling them blacks isn't even accurate. There's black women I've been with that got caramel brown skin. That's not black, it's caramel brown or honey brown. But ignorant people like branding. That's how they marginalize and trivialize and patronize you. I was standing in front of a supervisor that I no longer work with. She had no care or compassion, and I got off of her team years ago. But she did invite me to her house because Black people like to celebrate their birthday for an entire month and browbeat everybody to give them money and gifts. And I was standing in her front yard and she looked at me. She goes, "Who's that driving up into my yard?" I said, "I don't know." The Suburban pulls up, black guy gets out. He waited a few minutes. He goes, "Man, I saw that white guy standing there. I didn't know whether to get out or not." I should have confronted him and said, what is that supposed to mean? I'm in a black neighborhood. And you come in and make a statement like that. You see, blacks make racist statements all fucking day. I'm not black. I don't understand. The inference, I'm not as intelligent as you are because your black skin color gives you automatic IQ that I don't have. Bullshit. That's why white people invented the skyscrapers and the telephone and the electricity that we have and how to make wiring and get it delivered to homes and internet and cable and refrigeration and all that stuff that you people didn't design. And then you look at the damage that you've done. Okay, so even if we go back 80 years of slavery and give all of those slaves $1 million if we could, or 10 million, the black people since 1966, when I was born into this world, have done so much fucking damage. It's into the billions and billions and billions of dollars. Not just with the riots and the vandalism, but the cost of the criminal justice system, the loss of lives of innocent people. And black people want to talk about a punk ass named George Floyd. And the media says, "Oh, his daughters are his daughters, my ass." You think those daughters miss daddy? They're sitting on a big pot of money and all these toys. They could care less. I remember seeing 2 teen black girls that have spent more money on their hair and their nails than they do on their hearts, carrying 2 red Target baskets, walking over broken glass, shoplifting the makeup and the shit out of the store, smiling and giggling as they're doing it. Yeah, the black community is fucking stellar, right? And they want to talk about us. Then it doesn't matter where I go. I've had to get on buses and help drivers with bad students. And I tell a boy to sit down. And I didn't realize that the 2 in the seat were brothers and the sister was across the aisle. Middle school, and I said, "I need you to sit down properly, please." And he's not sitting. He's up on his knee, up on the seat, so they can sit up real high. And I said, "I need you to sit properly." And he just looks at me "No, I need you to get off your knee and put your feet flat on the floor and sit. It's against the law in this state. Got to sit down on a school bus." And then his brother next to him says, "That's racist." I said, "Man, you don't even know what that word means. I'm asking him to sit down. Tell me how that's racist. Tell the bus how that's racist. How is that discriminating against your ethnicity or your skin color, guy? You want to tell me?" No answer. Then I hear screaming and yelling in my ear, and I turn, and the girl's that far from my face. "You need to sit down." "No, you cannot talk to my brother." I told him to sit down. You need to stay in your lane. Now you got 3. They're like the magpies. Remember Heckle and Jekyll? You deal with a black person, and you do everything right. Now the others are going to come in, and then all the rest of the kids are standing on the bus, and I yelled, "Driver, stop the bus." I said, "I need you to come here, please." I said, "This one did this, this one did this, this one did this." I said, "You, young lady, can move to the front." "I don't got to listen to you." You know why? Because I'm white. Because they've been taught the hate by their beautiful black moms that spend all their money on their hair, all their money on their nails, but they forgot the razor under the arms and that lovely smell that come out of there. When you talk about our race and you say and fling the kind of shit at us you do, you open yourself up for a full analysis by Pacific Ocean Superliner or tsunami in this case. And I'm not going to apologize for judging. You have it coming. You want to get into a tit for tat comparison? Let's compare. I've been with a number of black people now. The work ethic sucks compared to other ethnic groups that I've been with. The laziness is off the chain. They're constantly projecting that everybody else is wrong and you're right. That's why you're so got it together. That's why when you are in your communities where you're dominant, that all your crime's under control and there's no spray paint on the buildings and busted windows, right? And we got a culture that worships LeBron and Snoop Dogg and Jackson and Prince. And at the end of the day, none of those guys have contributed to anything at all of any eternal value or the good of mankind. It is simply entertainment. And they think they're all that on a stick. And all the silly little women want to fuck these guys. Please, spare me. It is past time for you to get over your boo-boos that you didn't even go through, that your great, great, great forefathers went through, and stop. You're not cleaning up your own litter box. It's full of shit. It stinks like piss and cat poo, and you won't clean it. You want to tell me how racist we are. Tell me how that makes rational sense. I moved to the South. I work hard, I mind my business. These people are pressing in on me. These people are harassing me. These people are affecting my job. Why are they crying and fussing about ill treatment by whites? I'm not understanding that. You ignored the fact that George Floyd went into a store, used counterfeit money, knowing full well what he did. Store clerk told him he could put it back and it'd be a done deal. And typical black person, fuck you, I don't gotta listen to you. And I yelled at this teen girl one day. I said, you know what? You're not gonna sit here and talk to me like that. I said it! And I accidentally sprayed a little piece of spit and it was totally unintentional. Oh my God, you just spit it out. I said, I didn't spit. You're this close to my face and I'm yelling and something spit out. You know what, lady? You're out of line. If I'd have talked to my dad that way, woo, I wouldn't have a face left. I'm starting to believe, based on what I see in America, that black and whites don't belong together at all. It just doesn't work. And I noticed something about underdeveloped white and black women and men. They feel the need to copy blacks, talk like them, get the dreadlocks and imitate them so they can say, oh, I want to be just like you. Could you shoot for higher elevations, please? And you know what's funny? There's a couple of black gentlemen I do respect. They dress way better than me. They're very, very good at what they do. They carry themselves well. There's a guy at work, and he always says, how are you, Mr. Nelson? Disciplined, ripped, wears nice clothing. I'd hire a man in an instant. But that's not what the media shows us. And this media needs to be brought into court. They need to have their FCC license pulled, twisting shit. They have created the platform that gives rise to riots. They're right there in the middle. You ever notice that the news reporters are filming it, never get hurt? If you stop giving these clowns a stage, maybe this shit would stop. Our media is immature, it is irresponsible, it is reckless, and our own media, ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, NPR, MSNBC, and CNN, all have become domestic terrorism in lying and twisting facts to support a narrative that is so fucking wrong and so harmful to this country. They need to be held accountable. But guess what? With Biden and screwballs at the helm, it's not going to happen. Oprah Winfrey sits on $1 billion and gets fatter and fatter. Isn't she awesome? A $90 million mansion and 7 or 8 other mansions. She really cares about the working class, doesn't she? She really cares about the down and out black male, doesn't she? Black men and women, when are you going to wake up that when your own get rich, they get the fuck away from you and don't help you? She helped Obama get elected by donating tons of money to him. And she's one pushing black only, and whites are privileged. I don't know a white person to date that owns a $90 million mansion and 7 others. Got hypocrisy? Did Oprah take her money and move to Compton and make a difference? Did the Obamas? No, they bought a 40-bedroom mansion in Martha's Vineyard. But remember, Martha's Vineyard didn't have any place for the 50 illegals. 40 of them could have slept in the Obama's house just comfortably fine. But I'm barking up a tree. The black people that I'm talking about are not going to listen to this and have a deja vu. The black people that are behaving this way, there's dead brain cells up there. They're not going to, they cannot articulate what I'm saying and get it. They will always have an excuse that it's somehow connected to us. They'll make comments. You see, there you go. You're racist. Oh my God, you just said it. Oh my God, you ought to see what your fucking people have done to me since I've been down here. They're horrible. They're rude. They're disrespectful. A kid threatening me because one day I'd had enough. And again, I do not drive the bus anymore. Kids get on smoking pot at the bus stop, stunk up the whole bus. I said, come here. Did I talk to you guys about spraying yourself with blunt spray before getting on? And a kid, I said, I need you to move to the front. No, I'm good. I said, no, I need you to move to the front. And he won't. And then I finally get down to the next stops. He's up yelling and screaming. And then another kid gets on walking up. And I said, I need you to sit down, please. I go 10 feet. And he's up and down. And that time I'd had enough. I hit the brakes. And he grabbed the seat and started to go back like this. He says, fuck, I'm going to get my grandma. I said, you ain't going to get nobody on me. I'll admit to management what I did. You guys think you can run your mouth and walk around, and I told you to sit down. And I walked right back there, and I said, sit down. And he's threatening me, and the kids grabbed him, hold him back. And I walked away and got on top of the doghouse. I said, you come up here and touch me. The state law gives me the right to defend myself, so you better choose your actions wisely. I'm not playing with you. Thank you, Black America, for turning your own children into fucking monsters that you yourselves don't and can't control. Congratulations. Oh, but we got another black DA in my city. Yay! Another black person in power. When the black mayor was there helping himself with a city credit card. Baltimore, this place, every place that the blacks are in the majority and in control are shithole cities. Can I help you? Can you imagine if the black thug culture mentality owned a cruise ship lines? How many black people you think would go on it? None. They go on cruise ships owned by rich white CEOs and big companies like NCL and Carnival. Why do I say that? Because blacks who work hard and earn good money, they want a nice house and they don't want to deal with the bullshit. But some of those same blacks will talk shit about my race. Fancy that. What is wrong with the black people in this country? What the fuck is the matter with them? Why is their thinking so obtuse and fucked up that they cannot see what they're doing? And they still want to live with this race go round. It's just this thing. I see the black women around here. You know, they pull out in front of me, get in the way. I'll be moving full speed ahead with a shopping cart, and they got to turn and block me. Waiting, daring me to. I don't play their game. I just speed up and get that close to their cart and go boom and watch them go. Fuck you. I'm going to get around your bullshit. I'm not going to engage with your, you're this big. You buy more junk food and you want to talk about my race. I look around in the store. I see the unhappy looks on your faces. I see your children out of control. I see that they haven't been taught manners, that they got to stare and laugh and mock, that even I, as a white kid, my mother would never have tolerated that. I would have gotten spanked in the car if I'd acted like that in the store. Black America, you can fuck yourselves because you're not doing a good job, and you got to stop talking about our race, and you got to get your ghetto shit together. I don't care if another black person made this play. I don't care. I don't care about your music and your industry because it's all about you. It's black myopia, and it's not utopia, and it's not my world. I want to make a difference. I want to be with black people that are more diverse than that. Oh my God, help us. America's just stuck with this giant sewer clot in the fucking drain that we need some fucking Drano to move it. It always comes back to the blacks and how unhappy they are, round and round like a toilet bowl. They don't like it when a white guy stands up and calls it out. They don't like it. They'll laugh, they'll mock, they'll threaten. That's their skill set. I'm going to get a gun and go shoot this fucker. Go ahead. Send me to heaven. I just want to know why more whites aren't standing up. Chickens and cowards. I don't own a Confederate flag. I'm not a real Southerner. I don't want to be a real Southerner. This is the armpit of America. But look what they're doing in New York. Every place that the Democrats are in charge of, crime is out of fucking control. You know why? Because Democrats take their brain cells and that is their mind on drugs. Listen to AOC. There's no substance that comes out of her mouth. She's a crazy leftist ideologue that wants to destroy our way of life as we know it, while she makes $175,000 a year. Is anybody waking up to this? Is anybody getting it? Does anybody connect the dots? Because I know the black community isn't doing it. They're not moving to Africa. They're not getting visas. They're not going to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya. They're not doing it. They want to stay here and bitch. They want to stay here and rebel us. They want to shoot us. They want to shoot their own. They can't even get along with each other. And they want to talk about my race. I've seen favoritism. I've seen discrimination. I've watched black people protect each other in work when I've done everything right. And I've seen black people fail to represent me and stand on what is true. So this idea that only whites are racist is a bunch of bullshit. I think more whites have been very accommodating and open. But I'm glad I had the opportunity to live down here, because this is a class that you cannot get this in a textbook. You have to experience it to see it. And I don't care what the black population of America thinks of me. It doesn't fucking matter, because honestly, considering they're 13% of the United States, I could go anywhere else in this country, by God's grace, and get a job, and I'll have to deal with this issue again. I know for a fact that if African Americans were to do the shit that they do here in Hong Kong, Manila, Tokyo, I wish they would. China would shut them down in an instant. Forget the Miranda rights. The blacks wouldn't have a damn right over there at all. They'd drop them and put them in a body bag. And America needs to do the same thing. You want to tear shit up? You want to burn shit down and shoot and steal? Kill them. You can't rehabilitate that. It's a mindset. It's a primitive, barbaric law of the jungle mindset. And you do give blacks a bad name, but your own leaders aren't speaking out about it. Oprah isn't saying anything about it. Barack Obama isn't saying anything about it. Whoopi Goldberg, who got the Holocaust wrong, isn't saying anything about it. When you got a grown woman on a stupid show called The View say that Hitler's pogrom against 6 million Jews was not racism, that is a dumb woman. 6 million of one race are singled out, but that's not racism. But then a cop puts his knee in the back of a black man, and that's systemic racism within the police department. Black people in America, tell me how the fuck that computes with logic, because it doesn't. 6 million people were killed and specifically singled out by Hitler. They were Jewish. And one of your own stellar black people who should have stuck to her day job of Sister Act and acting and kept out of political commentary because she's not qualified. I could run circles around Whoopi. I'm not afraid of her. She believes lies. She operates off a pre-programmed narrative. It's like the old computers. Do you remember back in the 80s when they come out with the computer and kids thought they were so cool? And it was the white, desk monitor module, and it had the green phosphorus screen. You were very limited in what you could do on those damn things. And then Macintosh came out with all the colors, and graphic artist women said, "Ooh, this is fun." Now I have a laptop. I can talk to people instantly around the globe. I can research prices of anything, anywhere, for rental, clothing, flight, food, restaurant, hotels, rent a golf cart in St. Thomas, whatever. But guess what? With all of this stuff, we can't fix stupid, can we? Democrats who went to college that love to brag that they're more schooled than people like me, fucking our economy, helping themselves the cookie jar, stirring the racial pot, and living far enough away from those riot zones while stirring it with that big distant stick and holding up in Martha's Vineyard, the Hamptons, LA, Montecito with good old Oprah. Yeah, these people are really using their renownedness to make a difference in the black community, right? No, they're not. I don't care if LeBron has something to say about me. He's a fucking idiot. I don't care if any of these black people, they're fucking idiots that want to sit here and tell me I'm wrong in what I'm saying. And if they want to get into this, well, the way you're saying, I don't care. Have you listened to the way your ghetto girls talk in a store when they're out of line? You don't. And you don't care. Because you guys think you can do whatever you want and nobody else can. And I'm not answering that call right now because I want to get done with my talking points. When I listen to the black community going on and on about racism, and that's all I've heard since 1966, actually a few years later when my brain was cognizant, it's always about them. They're a very myopic community. They don't integrate well with the rest of us. They don't even like Asians. I hear here where I live. Oh, the Asians, when we walk in their store, they're watching us. Gee, I wonder why. I'll never forget, and the black community in America was silent as fuck about this. They probably didn't hear about it, but even if they did, they'd be like, Yan Mei, who cares? In Hong Kong, over in Kowloon, there was a store that was about to open, and Chinese are notorious for taking photo. They like to take pictures. No harm in that. They were on a public sidewalk, and they were taking pictures of the front of the store. Some black guy was hired by the store to kind of keep charge of the perimeter, and he came up, started shoving Chinese people taking their camera. You're not allowed to take pictures. Okay, you cannot do that shit in Hong Kong. You cannot just push and shove. He's not police. And I love reading the Hong Kong Daily Standard about that. The Chinese were quick. Who the fuck does this guy think he is coming in here thinking he can act like that? I'd like to see these hoodlum, punk-ass, drug-infected fucks that listen to their shitty music go into Hong Kong and act like that. It'd be the most beautiful scene, and it'd be done in 5 minutes. The Chinese military police would come in there and drop them, blood flowing in the street. Done, goodbye, clean it up. And it needs to happen here. I don't know how we got to the point in America where we're not allowed to speak out on social media with Zuckerberg and these assholes that want to censor our speech and say, well, that's misinformation. But yet you allow these people to tear the fuck out of our stores, shoot and kill people. You allow black men to keep getting out of the system in Seattle, breaks into an old woman's high rise, rapes a 75-year-old woman, and is back on the street the next day. Don't believe me? Look it up. And where are the conservatives? There were 90 million that voted for Trump. Where are they? Hiding. Talking tough behind closed doors. Hiding in their little snow globes. Hiding in their comfort zone. Oh, I got to be careful. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to lose my house. I guess Paul Revere was an idiot, huh? When he said the British are coming and rode through town on a horse, announcing that the enemy was here. He was stupid, right? How about the Boston Tea Party when they threw all the tea off the ship? Oh, they shouldn't have done that, huh? We should have had the revolution. We should have just laid down. Okay, British, you're right. You're right. What the fuck happened to us? You're scared, aren't you? You saw what they did with January 6th. The Democrats staged that whole fucking event. We know it. And yes, I'll be bad enough to admit there probably were some dumbass Trump supporters that went in there and acted like a bunch of retards. I'm not discounting that. But I think it's funny that the black community of Democrats loves to point to January 6th. They don't say a fucking word about their own color doing the riots. Do they really think that God is going to look at them with favor and say, yeah, you know, it's okay you rioted. It just the system was so unfair to you. Yeah, black people that are poor always got enough money to buy a Cadillac Escalade, don't they? And $300 for a hair job and nails and lotto tickets and alcohol. But then I go to my nightclub and a black guy comes up to me and says, can you give this guy a ride home? And I said, no. Well, he's a bartender here. I said, I know. I like him and respect him, but no, I'm not going to give him a ride. I'm not driving around tonight. In fact, I'm about to leave. And I get this every time I go into a public place. Black people ask me for money. Can you buy me some dinner? Black guy brings his white girlfriend in there. They're shooting pool, drinking beer. Can you buy me something to eat, man? Dude, you got a girlfriend and you want me to buy dinner? No, I don't give money. And I got to hear black people judge me. That woman I worked with, I went to, I made a mistake thinking this was neutral conversation. My bad. I said, man, I'm sitting tired of my coworkers constantly asking for money for this and that. I didn't yell. I said it quietly. She goes, you're over the top. I said, no, I'm not. I said, in other workplaces, that is not allowed. Well, this is the South and this is black culture. Get used to it. Oh, that's how it works. Blacks don't have to submit to white culture because they think the rules out there are made by whites. I get it. But they can do whatever the fuck they want. They want to go up and down the street and be urban terrorists with their shitty bass music that says, I have a 2-inch penis, but I'm going to go down the street. Motherfucker. Motherfucker. What you looking at, white boy? Turn that shit down. Fuck, you want to go? Yep. Great quality fucking people, aren't they? When I see one of them finally get his and take one of these cars and drive stupid and flip, send over end and they're dead. Another one bites the dust and another one's gone. I'm not sorry for that. Rodney King would not have cared if his car rammed into my truck on that LA night and took me out. The black community wouldn't have had a peace march for me. They wouldn't have burned stuff down for me. Fuck them. Rodney King was a fucking danger. But we're going to focus on what the police did wrong, not what Rodney King did wrong. That is the black community at large. They get the permission to do whatever they want. They have the privilege to break every law in the book. But, get out that microscope. That cop blew it right here. That one little thing. How does that work in their fucked up minds? How? Yeah, my cousin said it true about white people. The need to play and make all that noise. And you stand downtown in the town I'm in last night, and you watch people drive up and down in their cars. There's people and cars and busyness everywhere, and they're going to squeal their tires for a block. And you want to go up and say, you're not impressing anybody. We're all looking at you going, you're stupid. Gas is $3-something a gallon. You're tearing up your tires, and you got a dick that big. America is the only country in the world that doesn't deal with the problems that it has. Socialism will clean it all up. You won't be allowed to drive those cars anymore. You won't be able to play that ear-splitting music anymore. You won't be able to afford it anymore. You do realize, black people, you're voting in your own chains. And they're going to be stronger than the one around my neck. Keep voting Democrat. Keep doing it. Your race is going down the shitter in this country fast. And I can promise you this from what I understand about the Bible. You guys are guilty of discriminating against skin color. And God's going to hold you accountable for that. You've sanctioned violence and theft against us. You even said during the riots, it's reparations. Black women saying it was okay for you to steal from big corporations. Funny thing is God doesn't look at it that way. Thou shalt not steal. Boom, guilty. And black women, they really embody the feminine characteristics of what God wants in a woman, don't they? But you got black women that call themselves bishops and preachers and really, show me in the Bible where that's allowed. I dare you. You think you've read the whole thing? It's funny when God talks about overseer, the pronoun is always he. Let's not get our pronouns confused. You can get in trouble for that. He must be the husband of one wife. He must not be given into anger. He must not be a lover of money. He must not be given into alcohol. He must have a reputation that's good with the outsiders. Look at a lot of these black women in America with their ghetto attitude. Look at Cardi B. Look at the attitude. Look at the middle school crash trash mentality. My wet ass pussy. That is a symbol of your race. And you want to talk about mine. I'm angry and I'm venting and I'm spewing because I'm tired of the hypocrisy by the black community. And I don't know what it's going to take to shut this shit down, but it needs to be fucking done. And I don't care if they're offended. I'm offended by their music. I'm offended by their ways. I'm offended by the shit they've done to me all my life. And I'm offended by all the shit they've torn up and all the lives that have been lost that did nothing wrong. How about the police that followed protocol and you killed them and you don't care? Because black community are self-centered. They're only about their myopia. They're Afrocentric. And to meet people that break beyond that are so minuscule. You have to get out of the U.S. to meet well-adjusted black men and women. You have to get out of the U.S. You have to go to Kenya and Zambia. And if God allows me, I want to go there and experience it. I've been to Asia. I want to see the motherland. The blacks have shit on my race since I've come into the world. Conservatives are silent about it. The Democrats keep beating the drum saying how privileged my race is. Pisaki, fuck yourself. The woman on the Denver City Council looking for re-election said that white businesses all ought to be taxed for reparations. Why don't we take your whole salary and donate it to the blacks, bitch? Because you want to make a case against us. White women have had privilege too, and a lot of it. They can act any way they want at work. They can act any way with a marriage. They can bring nothing into a marriage but a fucking headache. clean out the man's bank account, take his home, and get X amount of dollars for child support and alimony. Don't get me started on American women. That's why men are going overseas to find a wife. But as I said the other day in a video, that's changing too. The toxic sludge and sewage that American culture is producing is seeping throughout the globe through the internet. I just blocked 2 different women last night that were friend requests, and they just picture after picture. Now they want you to go to their page and make a monthly payment so you can see porn of themselves. Filipinas, a Thai girl named Thai Boom or Boom Thai. Welcome to the degradation of everything. And people want to emulate black people. Why? Why do I got to feel shame because I'm white or I'm not just like them? When a black guy at work calls himself a minister, but then he speeds in his hot rod car, and I said, you're not supposed to do that as a Christian. And he's a smooth talker, and he hits on every woman in the place. I want to sit down and tell his wife, you might want to get away from this guy. Because he doesn't love you enough to stop that shit. And I've had several black women come to me in that workplace and said, oh, he fucks around. I said, he claims he doesn't. My ass. Then why is he talking to all these women hanging on him all day long? I said, I know. I've tried to talk to him. I, as a white guy, cannot have any effect on a black person. Did you know that? I'm not making this up. God has used me to make a difference. He's used people to make a difference in my life. But he's never used me to make a difference in black people because there's something in them they're not going to submit to, give heed to, anything that doesn't come out of a black person's mouth. Now, I understand that there's some black people who will listen to wisdom from others, but most of the ones I'm meeting, no. And on Rodney King, I agree with you 100%. They want to make an issue about when the police snap. You ever seen what happens when a black man snaps? Watch what they do to their wife, the girlfriend, of their kids. I'm coming home from the dump today, and I watch black person after black person. I'm going 45 in the right lane. They roar behind me, get as close to my bumper as they can, and you're thinking, shit, they're going to hit me. And then they'll whip out at the last second, no signal, and whip right back in front of me. And I want to yell, where's the justice? You all want justice. Where's the cop giving you a ticket? Where is he? Black people, if you can't even drive your car right and use a fucking turn signal, go the speed limit, don't talk about justice. Don't talk about justice. Until your life is modeling righteous living, do not talk about justice. You're driving a loaded weapon at that speed. And I promise you, a black man hits me or a woman, I'm going to sue their fucking ass if they got anything to sue. I ain't giving them no grace. They don't deserve it. They have persecuted and harassed me since I've been here. I have gone to my job and I said one day to a black woman that's over me, I said, I just simply come to do my job every day, and that's getting harder and harder for me to just do that. And I want to say, what is wrong with you fucking people? You've got a good worker here, but you don't recognize it. But then we got to hear about Black History Month. And now the blacks got their smart ass response. I am Black History. Ooh, I don't even want to know about it. I can care less. I already know. It's boring. It's a dead-end street. You listen to the same music. You follow the same people. And nothing changes. People go to Europe. People go to Asia. Did you ever think about that? Black person said to my friend in Ohio on Amazon years ago that whites don't have a culture. I said, I wish you'd have said that to me. I said, you son of a bitch. Monet, Rembrandt, Shakespeare, Mozart, Mendelssohn, Dvorak, please name anything like that that came out of black culture. I'm waiting. Crickets. Hello. Can you hear me now? It's so bullshit. And here's the sad thing. If you go to Africa, there is some culture over there. I'm going to say something. There's kind of I like exotic very much. And on YouTube, it's so funny. YouTube and Facebook are so overly ridiculous about any kind of nudity. If you show a picture with a woman's nipples poking through the shirt, you go to Facebook jail. But you can pull up YouTube videos, and Facebook tried to censor me. It was a YouTube video that showed African tribal women, teen girls and adults, no bras, with all the different ornaments and stuff on. I'm going to say something. And I'm going to say it as absolute as I can. Those tribal women in Africa were better looking than any of these African American women are. Their underarms are clean. Their tits stood straight at attention. Beautiful faces, beautiful ornamentation. Their movements. I said, my gosh, too bad I didn't have enough money to go visit and marry into that. I'm not kidding. African American culture hits the lowest low that can be reached of any culture. I got friends on Facebook in Zambia and Kenya, and you know what? There's none of that shitty yuckiness to them. They're beautiful and hardworking and kind women. It's just unreal. It's just unreal. And I need to say something. This culture over here is being dragged through the mud by black people. You can always tell when there's a toddler at church service in the sanctuary. You can't hear the preacher. And the black American community is the toddler in the room. It's just, will somebody get them out of here? Always fussing, always bitching. People are trying to go on with their lives, and they're screaming racism, and the rest of us are like, what the fuck are they talking about now? They like to throw the word around ignorance. They like to tell me I'm ignorant when I stand up and call their bullshit out. You're calling me ignorant. That's funny. You guys believe lies, and you call me ignorant. Let me know when you actually have an argument. Prince was a freak. They glorify the hell out of him. Prince was a freak. He was weird. And that's another problem with American culture. Not just blacks, but American culture has pedestalized entertainment and made a king and queen in our culture. And I don't know how and why we got there. That carries more weight than truth. Feel-good stuff. Blacks will spend more time talking about football play, and basketball. I had a black woman pull in my driveway when I was doing yard work one day in a nice minivan, and she asked if somebody lived there. I said, no, but I'm still getting the mail. Oh, well, I just wanted to get out the black vote. I was feeling good that day. I didn't feel like piss and vinegar, but I should have said, why wouldn't you encourage everybody to get out and vote, ma'am? Why are y'all going around and knocking on the doors of your color only? Is that not discriminating? They were paying black women to go out and get out the black vote. I should have had the ACLU with me, the Rutherford Institute with me, went down to that agency and said, hey, I want to get out the black vote. Can I be hired? And watch them say no. Why? Well, because you're not black. And the Rutherford Institute says, here you go. We need no further witness. We're suing you guys. Equal opportunity employer. Except when the blacks do it. The blacks have privilege. Look at how much rioting and looting they did, and none of them got caught for a damn thing. And now they got organized gangs going into Home Depot now, stealing power tools. And I'm going to say something, and I got to be careful I say this. I do not support the looting at all. But then the CEO of Home Depot saying we've lost billions. To him, I don't like the theft. I feel bad for you for that. But lost billions, you are gouging the fuck out of your customers every time there's a lumber shortage. So don't start. You're robbing people too. Corporate America has been systematically robbing people, and I will say it. Walmart's been doing it. They bully the suppliers. You want to sell a Sanyo radio? Walmart says we're only going to pay this much. Sanyo says we can't do it any less than that. Well, if we don't sell it, where are you going to sell it? So Sanyo goes back in and makes cheaper parts. Thing lasts a year and throw it in the trash. Walmart is a bully. Corporations are a bully. They create discontent. Go into Salvation Army or any thrift store and see all the shit in the bric-a-brac or curios section. All that cutesy shit that everybody thought they have to have is now 50 cents and $1 on a shelf. Junk that should go to the landfill. You know, the half canoe that stands up with the two paddles stuck in there, and it's just it's junk. And our corporate world has done this. Get Americans to get emotionally driven to their spending. I walked through a store. I found 2 finds today. Both of them were worth it because they were antique/collectibles. Well, not antiques because they're not 100 years old, but they're vintage. And they were metal toy collectibles. But they seem to hold their own. And I got both of them for a price where if I did sell them, I could make some money off them. But I'm not. I want them for myself. Corporations are ripping us off. And for Walmart to float all their loss back to honest customers is a sin to me. But guess what? Our government doesn't do a thing about that. Because the government and corporate America have just united and wed each other. They're in a love relationship. When Zuckerberg spends $340 million on voting machines, you got to ask yourself, why? Isn't the government supposed to provide those? Makes you wonder if the voting machines weren't computerized and set up where you could program them to take and read this vote for the other guy. I believe that can and was done. I want to say something. I don't believe Trump has polish, but Trump tried to run the country the best way. People criticize him. They call him racist, which is a bunch of bull. When you have a party as corrupt as the left, they're going to project. They're going to accuse everybody of everything that they themselves are guilty of. It's called deflection. And we've been watching this play out. Hillary was the true definition of an adult toddler, sore loser meltdown. Couldn't even face her fans. Even Jimmy Carter back in the day said, God bless you, we tried. But Hillary, nowhere to be found. Probably in a back room somewhere, fucking yelling and screaming. And then the Democrats went into overdrive. Oh, Russian collusion. Trump isn't smart enough to hide that elephant under the rug. If he had, it would have come out. Nothing. But let the Republicans, when Biden wins, say, hey, ballots are ending up at the dumpsters. And then you get a sticker on right here. Google, you know, they're going to tell you, oh, no, you need to listen to us. We're the ultimate authority. Measures were taken place to make sure that the election, yeah, right. How come you didn't have the same stickers with the Russian collusion team? Got hypocrisy? Got a marriage between Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, all with the Democrats? As Bugs Bunny would say, could be. Not could be, was, is. Now this AI stuff. America is paying for having slaves more than any other country in the world. Why? The Chinese had slaves. Europe had slaves. And the blacks. Let's do a history of the blacks before they were colonized, shall we? Let's do a history of the Native Americans before the white man got here and see just how peace-loving and kind they were. You know, smoking their peyote buttons and peace pipes, yeah. Study a tribe called the Lakota Sioux. They were sweethearts too, right? Like a Georgia peach. No, the Lakota Sioux, they were up there in Dakotas. They like to raid other tribes, rape, pillage, burn shit to the ground, teepees, take their kids and tear them up, yeah. So this idea we stole the land and the natives were these nice, sweet, back to Mother Earth people. Yeah, They were conquerors too. Every fallen human being, whether it's a woman that I worked with or some idiot neighbor across the street or some lousy politician, they have one thing in mind: control. And guess what? If you want to know what America be like, look in your neighborhood on your block. You all got them. You got your nice neighbors, you got your shitty neighbors, you got your strange neighbors, but you got that one. And you say that if everybody was being endued with power where they could rule a kingdom, imagine yourself thinking of that person or those people on your block. What do you think they would do if they had that kind of power? Would they let you live? Probably not. There's a reason God doesn't let everybody be an authority. But we're now at a point now where the Democrats are a danger to all of us. The black community is what I call a soft target for the Democrats. They're easily manipulated. They claim that they're, enlightened and they've been set free. They have not. They do not think for themselves. They claim that they do, but it's like a cult. It's like the Jehovah's Witnesses or the Mormons, and I'm going to go even further, the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is a cult. It is not Christianity. They have some things that are similar to Christian beliefs, but the final outcome of Catholic faith is not believing that Christ alone died for your sins. That's not part of their thing. You got to pray the rosary. You got to do the sacraments. You got to do all these things. Mormons. My brother-in-law said years ago, if you want to know what a Mormon believes, ask a Mormon. Cute, airtight, shut case, right? Only problem is Mormons believe what they've been told by their elders. And Mormonism and Jehovah's Witness are both progressive religions. The deeper in you get, the more stuff they reveal to you. They don't like the fact that Americans, even non-Christian Americans, can do a study all by themselves on the internet and go to libraries and brush up on Mormonism and find for their own self that it's false. That it was started by Joseph Smith, who didn't make it past a fourth grade education. His parents were in Palmyra, New York, and his dad sold bogus treasure maps. He was like, they called a seer. And they were ran out of the community. They were disrespected by the community. And then Joseph Smith went down to Nauvoo, Illinois, where he became a 33rd degree Mason. And God suddenly, out of all the people, came to him and said, Presbyterians, Baptists, Methodists, Lutherans, they're all wrong. And I'm going to tell you a little story about some gold tablets in ancient American cities. And what's really beautiful about archaeology is archaeology studies and looks for artifacts to verify and prove whether something was here. Archaeologists in America have found no ancient cities at all. Broken pieces of pottery and arrowheads of a primitive Native American Indian culture. So if you hit that big gong button, there's gong number one. The Book of Mormon is held in higher esteem than the Bible. The Book of Mormon has been edited over 5,000 times. And that came to people by Joseph Smith, taking a stovepipe hat, putting his face into it, looking in the dark, and speaking, and his secretary, who was a man, typed up what he said he was seeing. The Book of Mormon is a combination of Bible, sci-fi, and a bunch of other crapola. It is not life-changing. It is not life-breathing. It is a boring read. And yet, in Mormonism, it said God favors the delightsome white skin. So if blacks want to talk about racism, that was definitely a clear one. And the Mormon church believed that blacks were not allowed to be entered into the priesthood. Now, what is this priesthood? The Catholics and the Mormons. And the Bible says Jesus is our great high priest. We're done with the temples. We're done with the priests. We go to the priest, which is Jesus. I don't need to go to a Catholic priest in a confession booth while he's masturbating behind a privacy shield to my confessions. No. And in the 70s, God suddenly had or was it the 80s? God came down and told the highest guy in the Mormon church, there's only one that gets paid. All the rest is voluntary. Mormonism is like an Amway company. So is Jehovah's Witnesses. You get a bunch of suckers under you to do all your dirty work. So according to one of the bishops or elders or president of the Mormon church at that time, said that God told him that now blacks could enter the priesthood. Oh, the Bible says God changes not. But according to Mormon church, God changes. You want to follow that, God? Doesn't sound very reliable, does it? My sister was a Temple Mormon. I know about Mormonism. I've read a lot of stuff about it. I had a best friend that was Mormonism. They believe a hui. So, of course, Mormonism is going to be heady with this secret stuff that they've been taught. They're going to look at a person like me with a bit of arrogance, presumptuousness, like he's not an elite Mormon like I am. And blacks operate that way. They hang out with their own kind. They're secure in their own foolish thinking. And a guy like me comes along and says, well, your thinking is wrong. Of course, they're going to laugh and scoff. They're going to make statements like, you're not black, you wouldn't understand. And, oh, you have no idea what my people... Did you go through this? Well, no. Did you go through this? Of course they didn't. Wow. Now, I did not know that little piece. That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. And to the black community, it was your own Muslims that you group hugged that sold you into slavery. And it was your own black people that sold you. So, you want to talk about the whites. Many whites also bought the slaves and treated them like human beings, allowing them to be married to their wife, gave them an education, let them stay in nice servants' quarters. And some of those black people liked being slaves to white people back in the day, but Black history doesn't teach that. And anytime you have a group or an item called Black history, can you imagine if we started a class called White history and Blacks would have a fit? Asian history. You see where I'm going with this? It's always about the Blacks. It's kind of like that Marsha thing. Thanks for listening, folks. And I asked the question, what is wrong with the African American community? They're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and they're getting worse and worse, not better.